Having Mimi has everyone pumped up, but where does Bitcoin go next?
Let me into my zone. Let me into my zone. Please don't let me into my zone. 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 Please don't.
Well. Welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave. It is a very early morning for me this morning, as I've been up since like fucking 4:30 a.m. as sun doesn't go down nowadays. Anyways, plenty to talk about on Bitcoin as we do get the weekly close for CMEs, also a daily close for spot price action as well. And while Bitcoin has had a pretty nice rally leading up into this halving event, we should start to talk about what to look for in these next like week and a half of price action, as there are a few major areas to be aware of, which we'll get into in just a bit. Anyways, before we get into that, I do want to follow up on yesterday's short-term analysis. We did get a slight move down, but we really haven't broken even like the short-term range. So to shore that up, we'll have to actually, well, it's basically going to be mostly the same here, but we'll go into that and then relate it to the medium-term timeframes and then go into the higher-term timeframes, because why the fuck not? Anyways, looking at everything else on Krown Trading application, which is 100% free and can be found at app.krowntrading.net. We do see that the open interest is very, very interesting here, not to use a silly pun, but 954 million on the board, almost 1 billion with a B, which does really start to, I mean, it has been really confirming this next phase change. Like, we've seen what we wanted to see when Bitcoin broke above the $8,000 barrier on that first major move up. We broke the 700 million. Then once Bitcoin broke above like 900, or sorry, not 9,000, then we saw the next 100 million put up, and now we're seeing the next sort of move. So this really does help confirm all those moves and really tie into the overall analysis. So definitely keep that number in the back of your mind's eye. Bitcoin dominance actually going a little bit down from yesterday to today, but I am still bullish on that, as we have been ever since like 2 months ago. And I mean, I've been bullish on it for just pretty much the eternity of my more often than not, you're going to be bullish on that. But yes, I am still bullish on that. We can look at the actual chart today as well, because I do believe it's going to be more or less a slower day. And the crypto fear and greed index technically finally in the greedy zone. Although, would you call a 56 read a greed? Greedy? No, not really. Once it gets above like 65, that's where it's, I would say, like technically greedy, and gets super hot once it's in the 85 to 90 plus. So for right now, we are seeing everything kind of fall through, which again, verifies the analysis, I suppose. And then, also before I forget, I will not be on Twitch today. Actually, Elsa will. I myself am going to be putting together the new Beastly computer, which is going to make streaming a goddamn breeze, which I'm so excited about. So I'm gonna be heading off to the store later today, taking care of that. You can find Elsa at Elsa69. And other than that, I think it's time to get into the analysis. So with that said, I would like to wish you the best and the happiest of the happiest. I haven't been doing that enough recently, but it's free to do, so why the fuck not? And the world can always use more well-wishers. So looking at Bitcoin right here, we have a lot of things to talk about, and I need to be very deliberately clear with how I relate the short-term time frame analysis to the medium and higher term time frame analysis. So as far as what we're looking at on the daily, yes, there is going to be a daily total golden cross pretty much inevitably, as long as Bitcoin does not break below about 8,100 in the next 2 days, or probably even tonight, realistically speaking. And to be fair, we already did see the golden cross pretty much fully confirmed on the 2-day total time frame, although it will be formally confirmed later tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern time on this next closure. We'll get both an open and close as it crosses through. And of course, anytime that you see an interplay like this, where you get like an initial death cross, or it could work the other way around, just it's the logic behind it, that doesn't really get any follow through after that, and then kind of virtually switches around pretty much on the next move, that's usually a good sign that we are going to run the other way. And of course, it being a golden cross on the daily, Bitcoin has a pretty damn good history of playing that out relatively well. And when I say relatively well, I mean pretty damn well. Same thing right on over here. You kind of think of it as like a string, because it's kind of like a moving average, like a rubber band being pulled through, and when price action gets back above the highest period moving average, in this case a 200 exponential moving average represented by the purple moving average right here, well, price action typically falls through as well. And in this case, from next to low after golden cross was given to next high, we're talking about 16.5%. So pretty damn good. And we can find several examples back throughout the annals of history in Bitcoin land, although we'll probably have to go to some lower time frames for that. to see that exact same interplay. More importantly, just the fact that we do have a golden cross on the way on the daily and already confirmed on the 2-day is good enough for me to be generally more or less bullish overall. But that really only relates to the higher term timeframes. That doesn't mean that we can't have another, a few $100 or maybe even $500, maybe even $1,000 pullback to the downside, which would certainly wash out a lot of over leveraged longs and put a damper on the good old halvening parties that everyone seems to be having right now. No pun intended once again. And I actually do think that we are going to get a nice pullback somewhere around, maybe a little bit after the halving, something like that. But overall, anytime that Bitcoin's had a golden cross on exponential moving averages, it's been pretty damn good. I mean, that's very good history throughout the annals of history for Bitcoin, going all the way back to 2012, right on over there. Even gets a nice one right on over here, even though that did end up being a bull trap, and gets the overall switch up from bear market to bull market right here. And then same thing back in 2019 on the switch up right and over here, and works equally as well for the downside. Now you will notice that I'm using EMAs, not simples. I don't trust simples as much, and I put a lot more weight on EMAs, especially for a cross like this, because you will see a lot more fake outs with the simples. But both them having it is more or less good. And more importantly, the 2-day actually do put a lot more focus on, just because it is a higher term time frame, and it actually seems to be getting, and this follows through for like all 24/7 markets. It seems to get the overall picture better, and of course it's already been confirmed there. And not only that, we do see the 21 trending above both of these guys, so we have lower periods all trading above higher periods, so that means that the trend is strengthening to the upside. Now you don't need fucking moving averages to tell you that when price action looks like this. If price action, more importantly, bouncing off that white 200 simple moving average on the 2-day is pretty damn important here, because we do see a very good interplay between the 2-day 200 simple moving average and price action. So first and foremost, it is price action's relationship to the 200 simple. Is it above or below? That's a very generic way of using it, of course. But then we look at then we look at the what's it called? The slope of it. And if price action is on the same side as the slope, in this case, both to the upside, that would be a damn good indication. As we can see, historically speaking, those are your long-term bull markets. Whenever it's below and it has a negative slope or a downward slope, that's your bear marks right there. That's your bear market right there. And more recently, we actually never even went negative, which should have been a damn good indication to myself that this was going to be a fake out. I did not catch that one, and that was to my own detriment. But options keep me safe, and options keep me happy. And options, at the end of the day, man, I'm not too fussed about getting direction wrong when I have access to options, because they give you a lot of ways to manage that and even be profitable. Even having like a wrong first read, that is the beauty of options if you know how to set them up, essentially, of which there's a lot of guys in the Discord now really starting to get it, which is fucking awesome to see. And I'm very, 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 very happy to see that, because, well, options have a special place in my heart. I used to be an options market maker on the floor of Arca. Anyways, okay, so while we are here on the 2-day, I do think that Bitcoin probably does get another move back down somewhere into like the 930 to 9500-ish region, and retest back down around there. But I would be looking for an initial bounce, just looking at the 2-day right here. We are going to see 2-day Stokes likely cross the downside on the next tick, which again is coming later tonight. So we are kind of in pullback territory mode, and we do see that this will inevitably cross the downside with any sort of a 2-day to close below essentially 9,900. Now, if Bitcoin does close above there, do we get another leg up to 10.5? Most likely, yeah, I would say so. But with the way that this kind of setting up, especially on a Saturday, I think that it does offer up a pretty easy, I shouldn't say easy, no, that's a terrible word to use as a trader. It offers up a nice interplay to trade off of, so to speak. And that is, if we close something like this, a little bit down on this 2-day dodo right here, and then we take out the high of not the one that we're working on, but the 6th of May right here at 1074, then I would look for extension all the way up to 10.5 region, and that should be the next big test. Everyone's talking about it. Everyone's got it on the tip of the tongue, and for good reason. That's our last macro high. I'm not there. There's no like. People are accurately getting that. I do think. I mean, Jesus Christ, fucking obvious right there. But the real question is how to play it, right? Because at the end of the day, anyone can fucking throw out an analysis, but it doesn't mean anything if you don't know how to trade it, unless if you get paid for doing analysis, which I think only Brian Kelly gets that on CNBC. For all the other people, you got to put your money where your mouth is, and that's the beauty of being a trader. So if we do close this weekly above this last pivot point, which would be about 10,150, 10,200 on a more conservative estimate, then yes, I would look for not just extension to 10.5 on a short-term time frame. I'd look for extension to 11.5 on a medium-term time frame, and that's where the macro picture really does start to change around. That's where Bitcoin's been getting rejected from for the last 2 years, more than 2 years now, going all the way back to January 2018. Right here, big breakdown, 50% meltdown right after that. Then what happens after that? Double top in February, so once and twice. So that's 3 times already. 4th time in July 2019. 5th time in August 2019. And what do you know? It's when things do approach a resistance or support 5 times, the statistical chance of it breaking after that point in cryptocurrency land, as verified by my friends quant firms studies, is pretty fucking high. I don't believe I can. I'd have to ask them if I could actually share that information. Maybe I could share it to the people in the program, but I'll have to ask them first. Anyways, you never know. Like, these people, they pay a lot of fucking money for their access to analysis. Like, to give you an insight, this guy's firm, they actually go out and, I don't know if they buy or rent or whatever, but they will essentially gain access to like satellites in outer space so they can go look at what Chinese mining farms are producing. For example, like, that's the kind of shit that they're doing. It's really, really incredible. So if you are just, average Joe Blow and you think that you can compete on a fundamental analysis basis with something like that, well, good luck, man. Good fucking luck. Anyways, more importantly, looking at the higher term time frame picture, things do look more or less good here on the whole. But my real question is, does Bitcoin get a nice pullback down to the mid to low 9,000s before further continuation, or do we have continuation first and then play out a pullback, maybe right after the halving? Well, first and foremost, let's go back to the daily. We haven't even talked about the lower term timeframes just yet. But going back to the daily for a second here, let's go to no, it's not going to be there. Let's go to hash. Where's my hash ribbons? And we can actually look at the last couple halvings and the result on price action soon after that with this lovely tool over here. There we go. So anytime you see these red markers, that is marking off a halving date. And you can see over here, Bitcoin's in a macro uptrend already, it's not but it is in a macro uptrend on the weekly. And what do you know? We have the halving happen right here. Pre-halving rally brings us actually significantly up. In fact, something like this, it looks like, about almost 80% off the lows. So we've actually even had a more impressive rally thus far from the 4,000 low to where we are right now. And then right after that, the halving happens right here, pretty much like a nothing event, and then breaks down 32.25% right after that. Now, of course, was this a macro low being put in after that? Yes, absolutely. And it was a phenomenal buy point, assuming that you bought at 450 and held all the way for the next 2 years to 20,000. Easier said than done, of course. Time before that, and the only other time before that we've had a halving, is back on over here. And this one a little bit, kind of in a similar predicament, right? Bitcoin is in a macro uptrend coming out of the lows of, from about half a year prior. And we put in we have the halving right here and have an initial boost up. Or how exactly do you want to look at this? It happens exactly right here. On the day of the halving, it actually goes down, funnily enough. But, soon after that, it takes another leg up to the top side of the range, which in this case was 1350. As verified, you can just run a nice horizontal one right there. And then after that does play out a little bit of a downside move, but realistically, this is reaccumulation. Now, the downside move doesn't look like much here, but on a percentage basis, that was a 13.25% move. So is it tradable? Yes, absolutely. And I'm kind of looking for the same thing to happen, in this trajectory here as well. I think that will probably, hold mostly sideways or slightly up, maybe up to 11.5 before the halving, and then come back down and tap wherever the next major area is from that perspective. And obviously we just need to let time move on, and we won't really know where that area is until we get 2 days before the halving, we'll call it, or a day before the halving, of which I think it's 3 days away now. So it's very, very close. It's very, very close. Monday, Tuesday, we should have a very good clear picture on that. And just calling it before I just if I had to call it before actually seeing it, which is a terrible idea and something only a silly analyst would do, is I'd say probably back down to low 9,000, 92 to 9,300 region. And if things get really crazy, maybe back down to the 200 simple, down around here, which is going to be right around 8,000 or a little bit above $8,000. Also on the 12-hour, kind of to round out this analysis as well, we do have the golden cross, getting a lot of divergence away from each other, which is certainly suggesting that this cross is strengthening, and also volume is increasing on this rally as well. Like, this is very impressive right here. This is very constructive. This is very good. But what's happened after every golden cross that we've ever had on the 12-hour? In fact, well, going back on over here, we don't have to go back too far. In January 2020, Bitcoin gets a golden cross, and yes, it does have a massive move to the upside, but not before having a pretty nasty move to the downside, testing all the way down about 10% to the 55, which the 55 right now, for reference, is at 82.50 and going to be rising rapidly with each and every 12-hour closure. Before that, we had this example right here in 2019 on this switch up, big, massive, girthy green dildo to the upside, stabbing all bears from Angus to mouth hole. And what happens after that? Trades a little bit sideways, comes back down to the 55, reaccumulates, and then big, massive move up from 5,000 to 14. So, in pretty much all these iterations, and we can go back further than that. I suggest that you should do that. But I don't want to do it right now because it's going to be the same thing. If Bitcoin were to kind of play out the historical interplay between this, we could expect, I shouldn't say expect. Expectations are terrible words to have as a trader, but I would say it's certainly not out of the realm of possibility that we will get a test down to the 55 as a next major low. This is time independent, maybe around like 2 weeks between, before and after the actual halving event. But wherever the 55 is at that point, I would be looking for a test down there, and then probably another launch pad up, or maybe not launch pad, or just reaccumulation in that region. And it just, again, it offers up a nice piece of edge to be trading against. Okay, cool. So we've talked about all of the medium and higher term timeframes that I really care about or care to talk about right now. Or actually, let's go over this right here first. 12-hour Stokes are going to be crossing down extremely likely on this next tick with any sort of a 12-hour dildo closure below 9,700, which we're actually almost clean $100 above right now. So, if we do close below 97, do I think that we're going to have a pullback down to like the 90, or actually like 9350 to 9400 region, not 95, but not 94, we'll call it 94, give or take about $50. I would be looking for that. Overall, again, I hate to admit it, but it is true that the 12-hour Stokes have just been a phenomenal way to blindly trade for the last 2 fucking years, and I despise that. We also do see historical volatility percentile still maintaining the positive slope on this, so I do believe we're still in an expansion phase here. I do like how this has, begotten a little bit more continuation on that last push and making a slightly higher high above it, and more importantly, anytime that we've had 2 months of contraction phase, as we did right here, going all the way from March 13th to where we are right now, essentially. It's preluded major massive moves. Last time was back in November 2018. This whole move down here from 6,000 to 3,000, and then getting the whole move up from 3,000 to 14,000 essentially. Stuff like that is, again, we've been talking about this too many fucking times, so you already know where I'm going with that. I think the only new things that I really have talked about actually are, funnily enough, in the lower term timeframes perhaps. I can kind of wrap that up by saying next 12-hour close, probably by the time that I do post this video, I'll post this video certainly beforehand, but you never know how the processing times work, but it should be healthily before that 5 hours and 9 minutes. I think we can do that. If it does close below 9,700, then good chance that we will come back down and test around like 9,400, give or take about $50, as I just said. Something like that is what I'd be looking towards. 12-hour RSI, I'm sure people are going to be calling this bearish divergence. I just very rarely see bearish divergence come in that form. What's a little bit more damning to me is a 12-hour jewel, which is kind of lining up for a very good sell signal here. If it doesn't happen on this one, it will happen probably at a later date somewhere around here. So that would imply that there will be another leg of continuation to the upside. Maybe it's 10.5, maybe it's 11.5. Impossible to tell with that. But after that, it will, at some point, this will line up for a perfect sell signal, and that should be the next big dumpy dump party. In fact, it's hard not to think that that we're not going to come back down and test around this 93 to 9400-ish level. If it wants to do it, it certainly can over this weekend, and it would be constructive. It'd just be another backfill retesting the prior breakout, and as long as it's not closing below, let's call it like 9200, even 9300, I think overall fine. Realistically, it's just going to let it cool off, especially over a weekend. I mean, very rarely do we see an actual reversal that's sustained over the weekend that was contrary to the week's direction, in this case to the upside. So So fair enough. 4 hour, same thing here as well. Do we have bearish divergence in play? Between this point and this point, you could definitely say that. But has it mostly played out? I think yes. Well, another stab down to like 9,600. Certainly not asking for too much here. For the Boulaws, they're going to be looking at this as some sort of a flag formation, and that's actually correct too. I don't, I really don't disagree with that. Let's actually go to a fresher chart maybe. Yeah, we'll go right here. And you do see that, my blue box of peace and prosperity still being respected, even though I really wasn't expecting it to hold on for this long. And I really don't like it when things kind of, tail off like this. But fair enough, does it work as a flag formation? Yeah, you could certainly make that assessment on it. And what's the what's the measured move on this? Well, we can do a nice one right here. This is not going to be too scientific, but what do you know? What do you know? Is that pointing up to 10,500? Holy shit, fuck. Actually, that should be aligned with the blue box right here. So this one's a little bit off. I should be a little more aggressive with it, is what that tells me. Something like that between 10.4 and 10.5. Yeah. In line with this last macro high right here. So very good confluence there. So yeah, I wouldn't necessarily get like too blindly bearish right here, just because if Bitcoin does want to play this as a flag, it's going to be very obvious to play. Any sort of a 4-hour total even move above this last spike high at 10,085 and a half, as we spoke about earlier, and it's going to depend on the exchange, but around there, should be get that continuation, especially with a 4-hour total closure anywhere above 10,000. That should do it. It's a very easy way to kind of be managing trades around here. And by the same token, if Bitcoin does close a 4-hour dildo anywhere below, let's call it 9,650 to 9,700ish region, I would look for at the very least to move back down to about 90. Let's call it 9,400. Probably a small bounce there, and then if it does break below, if we actually do get a closure below, let's call it 9,350, I would look for an extension actually all the way down. Well. Should I even say that right now? All the way down, probably below 9,000 again. At the very least to 9,000. So that's kind of what's at stake right now. But I'm very, very skeptical of moves on the weekend. We still see 4-hour historical volatility percentile on the it's still expanding here after the initial burst. It's maintaining the positive slope on this and having a nice stair step up here. You can see a nice little trending up. So I do like that. So we're still in the process of expansion here overall. That's my main point. Any sort of comebacks down are likely to be nice higher lows, very, very likely. So in this situation here, I'd say as long as it maintains about 9,350 on a 4-hour close, we still got those higher lows, still looks fine. And I don't see any major issues with that. The second that we start to close below, then yeah, we can talk about a move back down below 9,000-ish region, and that's going to start to make the greater picture look a little bit different. But it is worth mentioning that the 4-hour Stokes are kind of coming down right now, not just kind of, but they are certainly coming down, and they will remain down as long as Bitcoin price action is below 9,900. So this next 4-hour close is relatively important. If Bitcoin does close below 9,900, I would say that the odds of testing back down to like 94 or 9,350 increase quite a bit. But we'll look at expected moves chart with regards to historical volatility percentile in just a bit here. Anyways, going on to the 3-hour, just want to see if this is more or less similar. Yeah, pretty much the same. 10,000 for that one, and 3-hour Stokes headed down as well. What about the bi-hourly? Same thing, 99.72. What about hourly? 98.60 or 98.50, but I'm not too fussed with this one. We did get a pretty damn good sell signal on the hourly jewel right here, which was one tick. It was on this one right here, and then the full sell signal right here at 10,030. Oh, and looks like Bitcoin's going to do it right now. There you go, baby. There you go. Pull it back, and let's see what you got. Show me what you got, Bitcoin. I like what you got. I would expect a short-term bounce off this 21 though, which is right at 96. We got down to 96.40. So let's see if that one holds in or not. But again, the critical area here is 9350 to 9400 is what I'd be looking at. So overall, still kind of just weekend bullshit in my opinion. Okay, all right. So what else do we want to talk about? I suppose now would be a good time to go look at the expected moves chart, because why the hell not? I mean, like I said, it's going to be more or less boringish day, I do think. For the short-term continuation of the upside, I want to see a 4-hour total closure above 10,000 or a tick above not Friday's high, but Thursday's high at like 10,085. So let's go see what that's going to look like here. Okay, so I said 10,000 to the upside on a 4-hour closure, or we can just use it daily for this one right now. And then we'll do 93.50 to the downside, even though I think 9,400 is probably equally as relevant, but I would err on the side of caution here just because it's a weekend, man. Okay, above target probability for today's daily total closure is actually very high, 35.36% versus the low side area, 93.50 at 18.36. Now, this is dubious because, you know, to the untrained eye or to people who don't understand statistical analysis, that doesn't look, you know, that looks like obviously bullish, right? But both of these have a decently high probability. Anything above 16% on one side is like decently high. It's within the realm of likelihood in the way that I look at it. But what is it essentially saying? It is saying that we still are geared towards the upside here on the whole on the next daily total closure. But I'm using this actually on a 4-hour right now. So what we can do is we can go down to a 4-hour. Or actually, we can use a 12-hour because I think that one's going to be a little bit more important. And a 12-hour closure above 10,000, very likely is going to get it. But a 12-hour below where would be catastrophic. I would say 93.50 to 90. Yeah, not 93.50. I'd keep it the same. And same things here as well, actually. The downside probability target, obviously significantly less in this case. Below 10% in single digits is certainly on the lower side for sure. Above target 28 spot, I mean, basically 29%, pretty fucking high. So upside still welcomed here. I do want to look at the slope of these rings. And let's see. I'm going to use future bars for this and not seeing anything different there. Slightly, it almost looks like its own flag right here. Sorry, flag, be careful, YouTube. The other F word, anyways, okay, so we got all that. That's essentially what I'm looking for right now. So if we do even have like a 4-hour closure above 10,000 or a tick above Thursday's high, I'm essentially looking for continuation to the 10,500-ish region. Everyone and their mother's talking about it. It's no craziness or anything like that. It's the next big piece of price action is either closing above 10,500 to beget another $1,000 continuation to the super macro level at 11.5, or if Bitcoin were to break back down below 9,000, that's when we can really start to look at this as one massive potential trap. Below the 200 simple, that's where I believe it gets massively confirmed. But if Bitcoin is going to be posturing for some short-term downside here, I actually do think that it probably happens over the weekend. Probably does test around 94 or 95, something like that. Looks about right. Let's go check out traditional markets, see how they close. I'm gonna guess pretty damn strong. As Nasdaq new highs, it looks like. On this rally, yes, indeed. Powerful NASDAQ. What's going to be my narrative if my fucking hedge coin doesn't work out? NASCoin going to the goddamn moon. And now it's like, what is going to be the narrative for all the cryptocurrency moon boys who are like crypto cultists? And I really love that Peter Brandt made up that term. It's great. It's perfect. Like, what do you say to this? Well, they're following traditional markets, following Bitcoin. Bitcoin's so strong, it's bringing up traditional markets. Okay, just stop. Like, cognitive dissonance is a hell of a drug, man. This one's bullish. I'm still bullish on it, and I do think that it's going to be reaching up towards 94.50 next week, most likely. Weekly looks phenomenally strong closure. I mean, 94.50 would be like a short-term target next week. I think overall, this is an inverted head and shoulders reversal right here. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder, and looks to me like we're already breaking the neck. I mean, it looks fucking good, man. It looks fucking good. So overall, I'm expecting new highs on this, honestly. Unless if something catastrophic happens in the world, like coronavirus comes back and kills Trump or something like that, which would be terrible, then we'll have some problems. But as far as charting goes, looks good right now. Oops, wrong button. Let's go look at E-mini futures for SPY. Not as strong, but any sort of a move above not this week's high, but last week's high at 29.65, and I'll be looking for extension all the way up here towards the low 310s, like 310 to 313 region. And NAS is the one that's leading right now. It is a strong one, being Tex, of course. All world markets closing in the green, as you can see down here. I don't really want to go through them. Let's look at gold. How did gold close? Gold closed okay. Nice consolidation at a high level. I was looking for a pullback on this one this week to come back down to like 1650 or 1620. sorry, 1650 to 1630-ish region. We didn't get that. In fact, this one's really starting to flag out at a high level. I'd probably have to get bullish on this one again, as long as it remains above this local low right here at 1670. So as long as it retains that, or even this one right here, actually 1682.5, as long as it retains above there, I'm looking for overall continuation to the upside. The higher term timeframes are very bullish to me. Monthly, I still believe is going to be headed up towards like 1800-ish region, maybe beyond. You know, I don't see any major issues with this. Even if it comes back down to 1630-ish region, I'd look at that as likely an opportunity. Let's go look at some of the top amazing, very technologically advanced altcoins. Looking at this one right here, Mr. Buterol, he is the opiate of the masses. Historical volatility percentile has been contracting for, well, same time since Bitcoin, actually, March 13th to where we are right now, even longer. Golden Cross has just happened. You know, should I get bullish on this one? Probably yes. And there's a very obvious long-term managing point right here. Very natural. Sorry. Let me get rid of all this. We only need one trend line right here. As long as it maintains above essentially the 21 at 198 when rising over time, I'm looking for this one to break north and probably head up towards like 250-ish region. This is a good setup right here, and more importantly, it's a good setup because it offers up a very easy way to be managing. It's not guaranteed to fucking go up. Nothing's guaranteed in this game. But a move back down below this region right here, then yeah, I'd look for a crash back down to, or sorry, guys, just a dip, bro, just a pullback, bro. We're just pulling this one back before you get pulled out on and skeeted on by fucking Paul Tudor Jones, maybe, down to 180, then probably bounce up, and then further continuation to the upside, but it's like not the upside, the other side of the upside, if you catch my drift. Have to be very careful with how you choose your words, because, you know, the highly esteemed altcoin enthusiasts, we'll call them, aka, well, never mind. Same thing on Litecoin, much weaker than the other two. But if the other, you know, if Bitcoin moves up, is the rest of the market going to move up? Probably yes, versus US dollar at least. Maybe not versus the Satoshi pairing. Obvious resistance right here at the 200 simple at 51.5. Move above there, I'd look for an extension up to like 63.5, 64 bucks overall, and taking out the last prior low at 44.5. I'd look for extension quite further south towards 40.5. So the altcoins are kind of at Bitcoin's mercies right now. If Bitcoin is strong, they get to go up versus US dollar, but probably not versus Satoshis. In fact, looking at Satoshis right here, oh my God, we've almost hit my 70% target already. It looks like it's not going to break out this week, but it's going to set up for a likely breakout next week. I still think that overall this is one massive reaccumulation formation. You see that it's a descending broadening wedge. Typically breaks the upside. Long term, I'd be looking for a move back up here, low 70s. That's going to destroy altcoins mostly. This looks like obvious reaccumulation to me down here on the RSI. Weekly Jewel does actually look like it's setting up for a sell. So if there is one thing that's pointing towards me being wrong, that would be it. But I think that spot price action right now is setting up for a little bit of a pullback. With obvious management areas. Overall, that's really all that I kind of have to say that I haven't said already. One last thing, I suppose, would be this. The weekly still looking like, or sorry, we did have a chance to confirm this breakout on the weekly. Did it break out? All right, Bulas. Doesn't mean that it's not going to pull back. I actually do think it's going to pull back relatively soon and have like a pretty filthy pullback, but breakout is in progress, it looks like, overall. So that will be a BTFD scenario for myself, or buy the fucking melt, more like BTFM. BTFM, baby! Big fucking man dick. Okay, that's not how that goes. Anyways, yeah, you know, this is looking overall good to me. A formation that's been baking for about a year on RSI for CMEs, nonetheless, more important to me than silly spot price action. But yeah, overall good. Also, did close above the 618 Fibonacci tracement right here. I think CMEs are looking good. Weekly Jewel gave a holier long signal down here, and down here at 6,700 confirmed for a second time at 7,500. Looks fine, man. Looks fine. So let's see. This video has already been 32 minutes or 33 minutes long. Maybe too long for some people out there. Maybe too long in general. Anyways, I'm gonna take this time to sign off. Oh, I should also say what I've been doing in the meantime, since I haven't really been on Twitch, is I've been actually recording videos for a gaming channel that I'm making. So if you do have to be interested in stuff like that, especially focused on Total War, because I absolutely adore that game when I'm trading and whatnot. It's the perfect thing, you know, because it kind of keeps my mind occupied to deal with, or sorry, to not get involved in boredom trades, which has been difficult, you know, as of recent times, or always difficult for myself. That is certainly my drawback as a trader. That's where I fail the most, is patience. But you know, involving tools like that actually has helped me quite a bit. So my channel is named Total Krown. It's on YouTube. It has a few videos there. So if you do happen to give a fuck, it'd be cool, you know, to hang out there as well. But if not, no pressure. I understand that's not for everyone and probably not for most people, but all good. Anyways, I'm gonna be signing off now, man. I'll be back on tomorrow. Same place, same time, same silly hair. Elsa will very likely be on Twitch today, so I'll be hanging out there as well and kind of working on the new setup. So with all that said, take care, and until next time.